Hello, welcome back to the weekly podcast where we discuss the new updates about Sri Lanka. To guide us on all the new updates, Mr. Viraj Henegidra is here with us. Hi, Mr. Viraj.
Hi, Rahma.
So, let me start with the first update, which is on the 2nd April, US President Donald Trump declared a comprehensive new set of tariffs, claiming that tariffs will enable the US company to grow. Trump's presidential order imposing these new import duties is predicted to cause global economic shockwaves. So, Mr. Viraj, how would these changes in tax would affect Sri Lanka? Would you clarify, please?
Yes, Rahma, as you correctly mentioned, 2nd April, US President Donald Trump has imposed a lot of taxes, not only Sri Lanka, to many of the countries in the world. But when it comes to South Asian countries, the biggest impact was happened to Sri Lanka because they said that they are going to charge 44% of tariff for all our export, right? So basically, if they are importing anything from Sri Lanka, that will be taxed at a 44%. The question here is how did they calculate this percentage, right? So I would like to show you the formula that the president has used. So he has used the Sri Lanka's trade deficit between USA and Sri Lanka divided by total export to USA into 100. So that the value is around 87.77. 87.77 mean basically. So they have calculated trade deficit divide by export into 100. So I don't know whether the calculation is correct first, because when you really look at how much of tariff that we have imposed for their products, sometime I feel those are might be more than that if you get the vehicles and all. But this mechanism, not only for Sri Lanka, all the countries, they have calculated in the same way. So with that, they are saying, okay, the rate is 88%, but now we are going to charge 44%. But we are doing this video on 10th. So after 9 days, after 7 days time, Donald Trump president has again announced now his decision has paused for another 3 months, that is we call 90-day period. So but he introduced a minimum tariff rate for the entire world, that is 10%. Now what will happen immediately, even for Sri Lanka, tariff rate would be 10%, but he has mentioned that 90 days pause on the implementation of higher tariff. Now from the Sri Lankan's government point of view, I think the president, and he has already appointed a committee for that one. So we are in the process of negotiating with USA because this is highly affected to our garment industry. Especially when you look at the apparels, the income that we have generated to Sri Lanka from apparel export to from Sri Lanka to USA, the contribution is really high, and we have got lot of income by exporting our apparels, and apparels are linked with so many employment opportunities in Sri Lanka. As you can understand, many people who are working in this garment industry, and not only that, even the Sri Lanka is still, we are in the process of finalizing our debt recovery plan with the IMF, right? So we have not sorted out all our matters. So it's really important for us to have the employment opportunity at the moment. So that is why the government is trying to get and negotiate with the USA government to get more favorable impact to us. But I hope with today's decision where the president made, another 3 months time we don't have any issue. But when you look at the Sri Lankan share market, by Monday it was even the system got break after 2022 because of S&P and all share price index collapse at once on Monday because of these decisions. But now everything is going to be okay. Even today's we have seen that huge improvement in the share market in Sri Lanka as well.
Okay, so it seems there is a greater possibility of a huge global recession occurring under the current trade war, and thus Sri Lanka should immediately take appropriate defensive strategies to enhance the economic resilience of the country. So,
Yeah, exactly, Rahma. In other words, right? So this is really good eye opening for Sri Lanka. That's what I think, because we were totally dependent on one country, whereas we have never thought about the other countries. Especially India is very close by, but we have never thought about why we are not focusing on that market. because 1.4 billion population is there, more than 500 million middle class people is there. So as our population is only 22 million, so why we are not focusing on other countries, Australia and New Zealand, those countries we can focus. Not only that, even UK. No, we need to think now in a different way. So I think this is really good eye opening for Sri Lanka, where we have a lot of capacity. Even you can see there are some ban for the Chinese people when they are visiting to USA also, with these trade sanctions. So we will be having really good opportunity, right? A lot of people will come to Sri Lanka because even the tourism, when you look at now for a month of March, we I think more than 700 people have visited to Sri Lanka. So those are really good indication, and in future I hope Sri Lankan people also will think different angle where we can explore a new market rather than depending on one country.
So yeah, we'll hope for the best to happen. So as the next update, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi undertook an official state visit to Sri Lanka from 4th to 6th April, marking a significant step in strengthening bilateral ties between the two countries. So what kind of an impact does this visit has, Mr. Viraj?
Yes, Rakma, Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Sri Lanka. So with that, there are 7 agreements actually Sri Lanka has signed with India. Those are significant changes will take place with this amendment, with this basically agreements that the Sri Lanka and India have already signed. So these are we call MOUs. So one of the main MOU is Defense Cooperation Agreement. This was actually happened. So majority of you can remember the peacekeeping forces involvement in 1980s by the India. So after that only Sri Lankan government has signed agreement with the India. And the next one, since we are more focusing on the business side, energy sector agreements, right? There are a couple of new projects initiated in Sri Lanka with the arrival of Prime Minister. One is Sampur Solar Power Project. Sampur Solar Power Project virtually inaugurated 120 megawatt Sampur solar power plant in Trincomalee, a joint venture between India's National Thermal Power Corporation and Sri Lanka Ceylon Electricity Board. So this is a milestone in Sri Lanka because we were totally dependent on the hydropower, but now we are slowly moving to the other energy sector as well, especially the solar power. So that is one of the key incident happened. And the second one, we have seen Trincomalee Energy Hub, a triparty MOU involving India, Sri Lanka and United Arab Emirates was signed to develop Trincomalee as a multi-product energy hub. This is really a remarkable initiative of both countries. And the third one, grid interconnectivity. Now this is another important one because an MOU was signed to interconnect the electricity grid of India and Sri Lanka, facilitating power trade and enabling Sri Lanka to explore electricity export, enhancing energy resilience. When you look at the Sri Lankan electricity, in the daytime, we have excess electricity, Rahma. Reason, most of the solar generated electricity is there where Sri Lankan companies or the Sri Lankan people are not using. So we will be able to export these services at our daytime. And the night, our people are consuming more. So we can get it from India. So that's another good one which was signed. And the third one, I have seen digital and technology cooperation. There was another MOU between India Ministry of Electronics and the Information Technology and Sri Lanka Digital Economy Ministry in order to share the successful digital solution. Now this is another good instant, Rahma. Reason is, so when you really look at the India technology wise, they are much forward than Sri Lanka. So we can get lot of insights from them because we can see lot of new initiatives are being introduced by the Indian people. So this will be really good for the Sri Lankans point of view. And the next one, health sector collaboration also will be there. And MOU, India's Ministry of Health and the Family Welfare and the Sri Lankan Ministry of Health and Mass Media to cooperate in health and medicine. This is also another one. And economic and development assistance, I think this was reported in all the media during his stay. Debt restructuring. India finalized a debt restructuring agreement with Sri Lanka, converting loans worth of 100 million into grant. So it was actually a loan to Sri Lanka, but they have converted into a grant. I think this is a great relief for Sri Lankans. And grant assistance, Modi announced a package of approximately 2.4 billion Sri Lankan rupees for social and economic development in Sri Lanka's eastern province, right? Because even India is more concerning about these provinces. Additionally, grant assistance was pledged for project like development of the Tirukoneshwaran temple and in Trincomalee, because we can see the Prime Minister Modi is more focusing on these religious activities, right? We have seen that because at the last day he visited the Anuradhapura, which we have he visited Anuradhapura also. So, and Sita Elia temple, he has more focus on that as well, because all these are culturally interconnected. India and Sri Lanka, when you look at the Ramayana, the India and Sri Lanka story, and the Sita Elia is one of the key places where most of the Hindu people are visiting. So the Prime Minister Modi has focused on that as well. So this will be really good for both nations, because our cultural interconnectivity will be more strengthened with this initiative. And the last, not the last, sixth one, infrastructure connectivity projects were there. Railway initiatives, we have seen the leaders inaugurated an upgraded railway track of the Maho Omante line. And apart from that, solar rooftop systems, this was actually a project to supply solar rooftop system to 5,000 religious institutions across Sri Lanka was launched, funded by 17 million Indian credit line. That's also really a different avenue for Sri Lanka, because all our religious institutes were depend on the hydropower electricity, which are distributed by the national grid. But now we don't need to need on now we don't, the Sri Lankan government or those religious institutions, with introduction of new mechanism in future, I think those institutions will not be required to depend on the national grid. And the next one, agricultural warehouse, a temperature control warehouse in Dambulla was virtually inaugurated, supporting Sri Lankan agriculture sector. And the last one, another important one, capacity building and cultural ties, right? As you mentioned initially, India committed to comprehensive capacity building program, training 700 Sri Lankan annually in India, fostering human resource development. Why I am telling this is really important, because we have seen India is one of the largest growing economy in the world, right? So our people, even with the culturally, we are interconnected, because we have a history for more than 2500 years, India and Sri Lanka. Even the Buddhism, we got it from India. So if India is involved in this kind of a cultural training program, it will be benefited to both parties. At the same time, if you look at the tourist arrival data, the majority are representing India. So if you are having this kind of a connection, you can imagine how much of support that we will be getting in future with this initiative. And cultural exchange were emphasized with Modi's visit to the Jayasri Mahabodhi temple, Anuradhapura, and underscoring the deep Buddhist heritage shared by both nations. This is what happened with Prime Minister Modi's visit. But from the Sri Lankan's point of view, I think these are really good initiatives, and these are really helpful to Sri Lanka. At the same time, Sri Lanka can look at the different avenues where we can approach to Indian market as well.
So, yeah, this visit will further strengthen the diverse and deep rooted partnership between India and Sri Lanka. We believe so. So, finally, as we all know, Sinhala and Tamil New Year, generally known as Aluthavrudha, is nearby, which is on 13th and 14th of this April. So, preparations for the Aluthavrudha is going on all over the country. So, can I know some more on this, Mr. Viraj?
Yes, New Year celebration is one of the key element in our country, because every year, mostly April 13th or 14th, we are celebrating the New Year, and this is not only for Sinhalese, even for Tamil, right? This is we call Sinhala and Tamil New Year. And the key part of this festival is we are working on auspicious time, right? Even to not to work, or else even to do something, or else even for your religious activities, for everything we have auspicious time. So all our nation is basically all Sri Lankans, all Tamil, Sri Lankan, everyone is working on time on these days, and they are giving a lot of insights to everyone. And if we had any issue with the with your neighbor, so those issues will be sorted out with the new year celebration. And not only that, this will again strengthen the relationship of the people. So this time also we are having for 13th and 14th. So with this, even the lot of people in Sri Lanka, we can see they are buying so many stuff to celebrate the new year. This will be more important for all the Sri Lankans to strengthen the relationship among our people.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Mr. Viraj. So, yeah, that's it for today. Wishing you all a happy new year. So, stay tuned for more updates.